The galaxy was in the grip of an unprecedented medical catastrophe. A deadly disease had spread like wildfire across several star systems, ravaging entire civilizations. No one knew its origins, only its effects: rapid cellular degeneration, internal hemorrhaging, and the agonizing decay of the body. Millions had already perished, and billions more were at risk. It was as if the universe itself had unleashed a plague too advanced for even the most sophisticated alien medicine to combat. The disease was unlike anything the galaxy's brightest minds had ever encountered. Despite decades of research, every treatment tried had failed. Advanced nanotechnology, gene therapies, and neural reprogramming had all been ineffective. The medical community, once confident in their ability to overcome any biological challenge, was now in chaos. Doctors who had once prided themselves on their intelligence and precision found themselves powerless against an enemy they could not understand. Alien species, having evolved without the ability to endure severe pain or suffering, were particularly vulnerable. The disease seemed to target the very essence of what made their bodies function, crippling their ability to withstand its ravages. Their species had never needed to evolve for endurance. Pain, for them, was a mere inconvenience, something they could escape through their advanced healing technologies or natural resilience. But this disease was different. There was no escaping it. It would break them, one by one, until the galaxy was overrun with death. As panic spread, the medical station on the distant moon of Zelith was one of the last remaining hope points for the affected systems. It was here, in a cold and sterile research facility orbiting an uninhabited world, that the final attempt to halt the disease would take place. But no one knew where to begin until the unexpected arrival of a human. Alex was a volunteer, one of the few humans who had heard of the crisis and decided to act. Unlike the alien species, humans had a reputation for surviving things that would break lesser beings. Extreme environmental conditions, combat, starvation, and most notably pain. They had evolved with an incredible resistance to suffering. And though humans were not immune to the disease, they had not yet been decimated by it in the way the aliens had. They could carry the disease, but they did not succumb to it as others did. Alex knew this might be his only opportunity to help, to prove humanity's strength and resilience. He made his way to Zelith without hesitation, volunteering to undergo an experimental procedure that could potentially cure the disease, or, at the very least, slow its progression. The alien doctors, while grateful for his bravery, were highly skeptical. They simply could not believe that any living being, no matter how strong, could endure the procedures they had planned. The aliens had developed a complex treatment regimen, involving intense genetic alterations, viral manipulations, and the use of alien nanotech to repair damaged cells. These procedures were painful, often pushing the very limits of what any sentient being could endure. In their minds, there was no way a human could survive the kinds of treatments that had brought even the most resilient alien species to the brink of collapse. They had watched their people fail, and they were certain the same fate would befall Alex. Still, with no other options, they set up a trial. The treatment would begin within hours, and Alex would be their guinea pig. They expected him to break, to fall unconscious, or die from the extreme measures they were about to take. But he insisted he could endure it. It was his choice, and his resolve was unwavering. The alien doctors, preparing for the worst, could only watch in silence, their skepticism hanging heavily in the air. They were convinced that this would be the end of it. Alex, they thought, was merely a desperate fool clinging to an impossible hope. The sterile surgical room was dimly lit, the hum of advanced medical equipment filling the silence. Alex lay on the operating table, his body tethered to various monitors and machines, his muscles taut with anticipation. Around him, the alien doctors moved with practiced precision, their elongated limbs adjusting instruments that looked more like instruments of torture than healing tools. They had explained the procedure in detail, but none of them had been able to fully prepare him for the pain that was coming. Alex had volunteered for this, but nothing could have prepared him for the brutal onslaught of sensations that were about to follow. The first procedure began with the application of neural probes, which were designed to manipulate his body's internal systems at the genetic and cellular level. The alien doctors were hopeful that these probes would repair the cellular breakdown caused by the disease, but they knew it would be a painful process. Their species, in their clinical detachment, had never experienced pain on this level. It was unimaginable to them that any sentient being could survive it. The moment the probes made contact, Alex's entire body tensed, as if every nerve screamed in unison. The pain was immediate and overwhelming, a wave of fire that coursed through his veins, igniting every cell with excruciating intensity. It felt like every muscle was being torn apart and reassembled, each organ being twisted and reworked by forces too powerful to comprehend. His limbs trembled involuntarily, his mouth cracked open in a silent scream, but he did not collapse. The alien doctors, watching through their translucent eyes, expected him to immediately fall unconscious. His heart rate surged, his vital signs fluctuating, but he remained conscious, his mind locked in a haze of agony. The doctors were visibly taken aback. Their readings indicated that the pain should have been too much to bear for any living being. Yet Alex's body refused to shut down. He twitched and jerked with the intensity of the procedure, but his resolve held firm. I can take it," Alex whispered to himself through gritted teeth, refusing to show weakness. He had read enough about what humans could endure. The horrific conditions of war, the brutality of nature, and the constant struggle to survive. They had lived through it all. This pain was nothing compared to the torment humanity had already faced. Around him, the alien doctors were growing increasingly anxious. They observed his vitals, expecting them to spike and crash, expecting to see signs of organ failure or unconsciousness. But nothing. Alex's heart beat erratically, but it held steady. His breathing was labored, but he remained conscious. The doctors exchanged confused glances, their initial skepticism beginning to falter. "Is this normal?" one of them asked, their voice a mixture of disbelief and concern. This cannot be possible," another replied, their instruments clicking as they adjusted the readings. "No sentient being can endure this. Not even our species could withstand such an assault." The argument grew heated as the doctors debated the cause of Alex's unyielding endurance. Some believed he was simply an anomaly, an outlier of luck or strange biology. Others, though, began to wonder if humans were fundamentally different. Could it be that the legends of humanity's resilience were more than just stories? Could they possess a strength that no other species could comprehend? Inside his own mind, Alex tried to focus, fighting back the wave of disorientation threatening to sweep him away. The pain continued to intensify, but he locked it out, immersing himself in his thoughts. He thought of humanity's history, the countless wars, the plagues, the struggles against forces far beyond their control. Time and time again, humans had faced annihilation and come out on the other side. This pain was just another test, one more in a long line of challenges that humanity had been forced to endure. "Stay focused," he thought, clenching his fists, the muscles burning with the effort to hold back the agony. "I volunteered for this, for them, for us. If I break, then they'll never know what we're capable of." He wasn't just enduring for the aliens or the galaxy at large. He was proving a point. Humanity had the strength to face anything. The galaxy would know why humans were called Deathworlders, not because they were invincible, but because they refused to break, no matter what the universe threw at them. The aliens would see the truth, that no matter how great the pain, no matter how terrifying the odds, humans would rise. And in that moment, as the procedure continued, Alex felt a surge of pride. He would not be the one to falter. The procedure continued, each step designed to push Alex's body further than any human should ever be pushed. The alien doctors, relentless in their pursuit of a cure, began pushing the boundaries of their technology, attempting to heal his body in ways they had never dared before. Neural implants were introduced, intended to help reprogram his damaged cells at the most fundamental levels. Gene editing tools were used to manipulate his DNA, rewriting the very code that defined his physical form. High-stress medical procedures, previously used only on alien species that could withstand unimaginable strain, were now aimed directly at Alex. The goal was simple: test the limits of human endurance. But with each increase in intensity, with each invasive procedure, Alex's body adapted. His heart rate remained steady despite the invasive probes, and his breathing remained controlled even as the treatments pushed his physiology to the brink. The alien doctors watched in disbelief, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. They had expected him to collapse under the stress, his organs to fail, or his nervous system to shut down. But instead, Alex remained resolute, his body adjusting and absorbing the punishment with a resilience no one had anticipated. The alien doctors began to argue among themselves. Some were still convinced this was simply a freak occurrence, a fluke of biology that could not be replicated. Others, however, began to suspect something far more profound. Could it be possible that humans possessed a type of endurance that no other species had? That the very fabric of human physiology had evolved to survive against insurmountable odds? They had long viewed pain as an inconvenience, something that could be treated and eliminated, but what they were witnessing now was something beyond their understanding. And then, the moment of crisis arrived. The pain reached a level that even Alex couldn't ignore. His vision began to blur as the stress on his body reached its peak. His muscles locked in spasms, the intense pressure forcing him to remain motionless on the table. The world around him seemed to dissolve into a haze of searing agony. He could no longer move, could no longer speak, but his mind remained sharp, his thoughts clear. The alien doctors, seeing his body frozen in such agony, assumed this was the breaking point. "This is it," one of the doctors muttered, a mixture of pity and disbelief in their voice. "He can't survive this." But Alex refused to succumb. His mind, even in the face of overwhelming pain, remained focused. He reached deep within himself, into the well of human resilience that had been forged through millennia of struggle, war, and survival. No matter how much his body screamed, no matter how the pain threatened to drown him, Alex's willpower remained unyielding. He was human, and this was what humans did. They fought, they endured, and they overcame. The pain that threatened to cripple him was nothing compared to the suffering humanity had faced throughout history. He reminded himself of the countless generations who had survived against the odds, the wars and plagues that had claimed millions, yet humanity had endured. He would not be the one to falter. With every ounce of strength he had, Alex pushed through. The spasms in his muscles eased, his breathing began to stabilize, and his body, somehow, found its balance again. The pain, though still present, no longer held him in its grip. He was still conscious, still alive, still defiant. The alien doctors, who had been bracing themselves for failure, were stunned. They stared at the readings on their monitors, watching as Alex's body slowly began to recover. The stress on his systems had been immense, but he was not broken. He had not collapsed. He had not died. Instead, his body was slowly beginning to heal itself, at a pace far faster than any alien species could recover from such an ordeal. As the procedure ended and Alex's body finally stabilized, the alien doctors were left in stunned silence. They had been forced to confront a truth they had never considered. Humans were not like other species. The pain that had destroyed others had only made Alex stronger. Over the next few hours, as Alex rested and his body began to recover, the alien doctors observed him with a mixture of awe and respect. They had expected him to fail, expected the procedure to be the end of him. Instead, he had demonstrated an endurance and resilience that surpassed anything they had ever imagined. The doctors who had once scoffed at the idea of human strength now looked at Alex with a newfound reverence. They had thought they understood biology, pain, and the limits of the body. But Alex had shown them that there were forces at work in humanity that no technology, no species could predict. In that moment, they realized that they had underestimated the true nature of humans. Alex had not only survived the treatment, he had shown them that humanity could endure what no other species could. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The medical team, now armed with the knowledge that humanity's resilience could withstand the most extreme forms of medical treatment, began experimenting with new methods to treat the galaxy-wide disease. They had learned from Alex's trial that humans possessed an unshakable ability to endure, not just in physical terms but psychologically as well. The alien doctors, once doubtful, now saw the human body as a potential vessel for the cure they so desperately needed. Alex's survival had opened up possibilities they hadn't even considered. By harnessing the unique resilience of the human body, they began to develop treatments that worked with, rather than against, human biology. The process was slow and meticulous, but each success built upon the last. The doctors marveled at Alex's recovery and began incorporating human traits, his endurance, his mental fortitude, into their research. It wasn't just the body that impressed them. What truly fascinated the alien doctors was the psychological strength that seemed to accompany Alex's suffering. Humans, they realized, possessed something that no other species had, an unyielding hope that allowed them to survive even the darkest of times. Where alien species would have given up, where they would have fallen to despair, humans could continue on, driven by an inner resolve that was hard to comprehend. This psychological trait was a key element in their resilience, and it was something the doctors could not replicate. For the first time, they saw not just a species capable of surviving the disease, but a species capable of thriving through adversity. The breakthrough sparked a reevaluation of humanity's place in the galaxy. No longer were humans considered a primitive, lesser species. Instead, their reputation began to shift towards something far greater. They were seen as survivors, as beings who could endure unimaginable pain and hardship, both physical and emotional. This discovery had far-reaching implications, and as news of Alex's trial spread throughout the galaxy, humanity's status in the broader interstellar community began to evolve. Alex, still recovering from the ordeal, became a hero within the alien medical community. He was heralded as a symbol of human strength, not just for his physical endurance, but for the courage and mental fortitude he had displayed. His actions proved that humanity was not to be underestimated. The alien doctors, once skeptical, now saw humans as a species capable of achieving the impossible, a species whose potential could change the course of galactic history. In the days following the procedure, Alex was offered a place of honor within the medical community. The alien doctors promised to continue studying humanity's unique characteristics, eager to learn more about the species that had defied their expectations in such an extraordinary way. Alex, however, had other plans. He knew that his role in this groundbreaking discovery was just the beginning. As he prepared to leave the medical station, Alex reflected on the changes that had taken place. Humanity's place in the galaxy was secure. The galaxy now knew what humans were capable of, surviving against all odds, overcoming pain that would break other species, and adapting to the harshest of environments. Humans were no longer viewed as simple, fragile creatures from a distant death world. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would come to respect that strength. Standing on the observation deck of the medical station, Alex gazed out at the stars, knowing that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, filled with unknown dangers and untold possibilities. Humanity's resilience would lead them to new frontiers, new alliances, and discoveries that could reshape the galaxy. As the stars twinkled in the distance, Alex realized that the galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Humanity was not a species to be feared in the traditional sense. They were a species to be feared for their resilience, for their unbreakable will. The galaxy would soon learn to respect and admire the humans who could endure what no other species could. And in the vastness of space, where danger lurked at every corner, humanity's role would be as clear as it was undeniable. Humanity would not only survive, they would thrive. And that, perhaps, was the greatest revelation of all.